Hello and welcome to this online and digital classroom. My name is Roshan, your geography teacher, and you are here in this channel, Learn Geography with Roshan. In this video, we shall discuss about insolation. I have categorized this lesson into two parts. The first part, we shall discuss about the introduction and heating of the atmosphere, and in the second part, we shall discuss about factors affecting the distribution of temperature. So coming towards the first part, introduction, is that insolation. What do you understand by the term insolation? Insolation means the incoming solar radiation from the sun. The rays that comes directly to the surface of the earth is known as insolation. Alright, so what is the source of the rays? That is sun, right? Sun is the ultimate source of light and energy. What all the various phenomena that takes place on the earth's surface or in the atmosphere is due to the sun. The second point is that the temperature of sun at its source is 6000 degrees Celsius. It emits energy in the form of electromagnetic radiation. The third point is that the longer waves are called infrared rays and are largely absorbed in the atmosphere. The shorter waves are called the ultraviolet rays, which reach the surface of the earth in form of solar radiation. So, the difference between the short waves and the long waves. The short waves directly reach the surface of the earth, that is ultraviolet rays, and the long waves are indirectly heating the atmosphere, that is from the surface of the earth, emitting by the process of convection, conduction and radiation. They heat the atmosphere, that is known as infrared rays or long waves. The atmosphere is mainly heated by long waves. The infrared rays, that is the long waves, you must understand the difference between the short waves and the long waves. The short waves are directly coming from the sun to the surface of the earth, and from the surface of the earth, which emits and indirectly heating the atmosphere, is known as infrared rays, and that is known as long waves. The solar energy travels at the speed of 30,000 km per second. At this rate of speed, it takes 8 minutes to reach on the Earth's surface. So you can just imagine the rays of the sun travels 30,000 per second, and from the distance between Earth and the sun is approximately 150 million kilometers. So it takes 8 minutes to reach the surface of the Earth. 99.9% of the sun's energy hits the Earth. Thus, a planet away from the sun will be receiving less rays of the sun, and the planets which are closer to the sun will be having more heat. It's like Mars, which is away from the sun or away from beyond Earth, receives less radiation, and the planets, other planets like Mercury and Venus, they are closer to the sun, they receive more sunlight. Our planet Earth is situated neither too near nor too far away from the sun. Hence, the ideal condition of the temperature exists, which is conducive for all forms of life and various climatic and weather processes. The distance from the sun is ideal, and the temperature that we require is conducive or is appropriate, is suitable for the survival of all living beings. The amount of insolation received on the Earth's surface is not uniform everywhere. So the amount of the solar radiation is not uniform everywhere. It depends upon some factors that affects the temperature of the Earth. It is minimum at the poles and the maximum nearby the equator. Why it is minimum nearby the poles? Because the polar areas or higher latitudes will be receiving slanting rays of the sun, and the low latitudes, that is nearby the equator, will be receiving the direct rays of the sun. That is how the difference of the amount of temperature is being received on the Earth's surface. Nearby the equator it is a bit warmer and hotter, but nearby the poles it is cool. Coming towards the heating of the atmosphere, our atmosphere is not directly heated from the sun, but by the terrestrial radiation. Now you need to understand what is terrestrial radiation and what is solar radiation. The solar radiation means the incoming rays of the sun directly, that is heating of the earth, and the terrestrial radiation is indirectly heating of the atmosphere. Let's know what is terrestrial radiation. During the day, the earth gets heated up due to incoming solar rays, which is called insolation, or it is called solar radiation. At night, this heat is reflected back into space from Earth's surface. This phenomena of reflection of daytime heat into space is called terrestrial radiation. So during the night time, they emit the temperature heat and makes the atmosphere heated. That is known as terrestrial radiation. Or heat energy reflected back in long waves, that is infrared rays, is known as terrestrial radiation. So there are three main ways the atmosphere of the earth is being heated up. The first one is convection, second one is conduction and radiation. You can see the picture and understand how the atmosphere is being heated up. Coming towards convection, how the convection helps to heat the earth's atmosphere. The transmission of heat from one part of a liquid or gas to another by movement of particles themselves is called convection. So the transfer of heat from liquid, that is water, or from gas, that is air, and that makes the atmosphere warm, that is known as convection. So what is the process of this? The heated air rises up as it becomes lighter. During the daytime, when the sunlight receives on the surface of the earth, the heated air becomes lighter and they rise up. At higher level, the rising air spreads horizontally, gets cooled and sinks. So when they rise up at the higher level, they become a bit cool and they travel horizontally. As they lose their heat, they sink down. That means they come down. As it comes down, it spreads and gets heated and ascends again. So as it comes down and again on the surface of the earth, it gets heated up. Again it will be rising up and again horizontally it will be moving and it will be coming down. So this several circulations in the air are maintained due to the process of convection. This circulation of air from the surface of the earth, as it is getting heated up and it is rising above, then horizontally it is traveling again coming down. So this circulation of the air is known as convection, or it is also known as air current. Convection is an upward movement of air which has been heated by contact with Earth's surface, and this air is said to rise in convection current, or it is known as air current. Coming towards the conduction. What is conduction? Conduction is a process in which heat is transferred directly through matter from a point of high temperature. Conduction transfers heat between adjacent molecules till the temperature is equal. On the surface of the earth, in the exposed surface of the earth, you can see the landforms are heated up. The big rocks are getting heated up. So as we might have experienced or as we might have studied, their conductions, when one solid material is heated and it is attached with other material which is not heated up, the temperature is transferred. The temperature will be transferring up to the temperature becomes equal, right? It may happen the temperature is very high, or it may happen when it is very cool. You can take hot iron, when you attach with other material it will be transferring, right? Or you take ice, it is very cool, and when you attach with other material, other solid matter, the coolness of that ice will be transferred. So that is how the conduction takes place. When it is coming in contact with the matter, the temperature is transferred. Heat passes from warmer to colder substances as long as temperature difference exists. Thus, when the Earth's surface absorbs radiations and warms the air above it, conduction transfers part of heat to the lower layers of air. When the surface is cooler, then the heat transfer reverse of the temperature and air is cooled. The latter phenomena is common over land at night and during winter in the middle and high latitudes. That means the cooler areas, like in the polar areas, when the surface of the earth is cool, so the coolness of the temperature will be transferred. Conduction is confined to only the lower layers of the atmosphere where the air comes in contact with the earth's surface. So conduction is only the lower layer of the atmosphere when it comes contact with the other surface of the earth. Coming towards the radiations, it is a process by which a body emits radiant energy. Energy received from the sun is a form of heat. It causes a loss of heat and therefore leads to cooling. So when you see any matter that is heated up, and if it is not coming in contact with other matter and it is left out, so at the point of heating it will be so much heated up, but after some time it releases its heat and that matter becomes very cool. In that way the atmosphere is getting heated up as it loses its heat from the material. During the day, the heat received from the sun by insolation exceeds the amount of lost by radiation, and the temperature rises till the maximum is reached. At night, the reverse is the case and the temperature falls till a minimum is reached. You can see during the daytime, the earth is heated up and the temperature rises, but during night time, as the sun rays are not falling on the surface of the earth, it cools down. Terrestrial radiation, that is a scientific term. Long wave electromagnetic radiation originates from earth and its atmosphere. It is the radiation emitted by naturally radioactive materials on earth, including uranium, thorium and radon. So this is the definition of terrestrial radiation. You can write it, or earlier we discussed about the terrestrial radiation also as appropriate definition of terrestrial radiation. Coming towards the differential heating of land and water. As we know, the land and water takes different time to heat up. Land and water surface have quite different properties in absorption and radiation of heat. Land surface is rapidly and intensely heated under the sun's rays, whereas water surface gets moderately heated up. So land gets heated up very fast and water takes time to get heated up. On the other hand, the land surface cools down very fast. That is why temperature contrasts are great over the land masses but only moderate over seas. So, in terms of cooling down, the land also loses its temperature very fast, but the water loses its temperature very late. So that's why the interior part of the country or interior part of the earth will be experiencing continental type of climate, and the areas which are closer to sea, surrounded by the seas, will be having moderate climate. Insolation, in terms that is known as incoming solar radiation. Solar radiation that is intercepted by the earth is known as insolation. In short term, the solar radiation that is intercepted by the earth is called solar radiation. The amount of insolation reaching the outer limit, the amount of insolation that is reaching outer limit of long waves, that is the area is between up to 480 kilometer of the atmosphere is called solar constant. The limit area of 480 kilometer in the atmosphere is known as solar constant. Thank you so much for listening this class so patiently. Hope you have understood the concept. Any queries, any doubt, please do ask in WhatsApp or comment in YouTube. And what all the difficulties you face, feel free to ask in WhatsApp. Thank you. I remain.